All right, welcome to ECS 179, Gameplay Programming. Today we're going to talk about peer reviews. Now, please direct yourselves to the Gameplay Programming folder, our Gameplay Programming repository. Inside of it, you will see a peer reviews folder. Inside of that peer reviews folder, you will see bad examples, good examples, B+, good examples, grade B+, good example 3, grade B+, good example A, peer review, good example 5, there it is, okay example 3, 4, okay example B, peer review. So we just pulled out a few different reviews of a different set of grade criteria. So you can get an expectation of what your grade will be given a peer review. I want to give you as few mysteries as possible. There's already enough subjective grading in this class because we're working with a design problem, that I want to give you something a little more concrete here to work with. All right. So what I'm using here, for those that are curious, I am using Visual Studio Code. It has a built-in markdown viewer, so what you will be editing will look like this. What we will be seeing on the repository will look like this. And if you want to follow along, it, I believe, is going to peer review, I believe is Control-Shift-V will, if you have a markdown document, Control-Shift-V will open up our preview. Yep, there we are. And one of the best shortcuts you can have in Visual Studio Code is Control-Shift-P, which will bring up the command interface. And you can type in whatever command, like all of the commands you have registered and all your plugins registered commands will be here to look at. Okay. Now let's get started. Let's first take a look at peer review exercise 1. This is the template that I will have to update just a little bit before I give it to you, but most of it stands. Control-Shift-V is a little harder with just your right hand. There we go. All right, is that big enough to read? Should I make this, is that better? All right. All right, so for this assignment, you will be giving feedback on the completeness of exercise 1. To do so, we will be giving you a rubric to provide your feedback on. For feedback, please provide positive criticism and suggestions on how to fix segments of code. You will need to review the code modified or created by the student you are reviewing. You do not have to review the code and project files that were given by the instructor. I'm sure there's some embarrassing stuff in there. You can let me know and I'll fix it. But you shouldn't give that to the peer reviewer if the embarrassing stuff is mine. So abusive or hateful language and comments will not be tolerated in these peer reviews. Believe it or not, we've had some stuff happen, and it's not good stuff. So this is not a place to take personal vengeance or things like caste issues into account. It gets weird sometimes. Like, people get weird. Let's not get weird, okay? Get weird in the good ways. Like, keep Austin weird, keep Santa Cruz weird, keep peer reviews, game design weird, but not mean. Not like JD Vance weird. All right. Abuseful or hateful language will not be tolerated. So we're following UC Davis Code of Conduct here. If there are any questions, if your first line of defense is to email the TAs or put it on Discord, then you can come to us, standard triage protocol. All right, and the official due dates will be on Canvas. A successful submission should consist of a copy of this markdown file. It should be added to the repository in the base folder of the repository, right next to the readme.md. And you should name it, let's see, peer review-exercise1.md. Now, there may be some cases where we will assign 2 peer reviewers to one repository. In that case, if you are the second person that we assign, and you will know because you've probably turned in the assignment late, and we added you to peer review a project later in the peer review cycle, you should put your UC Davis username appended after a dash after exercise 1. All right. We also want your information here, your name, your email address, just to make sure we have all the connective information we need. We should be able to infer what we need, but I want to make this easy for the TAs, as easy for the TAs as possible. All right, so first we have some criteria. So these are criteria around the solutions. And I'm a little nervous because I have a tiny screen. Are you all good in the back? Can you read this? Okay. My kingdom for they could have sprung for like, even like a 10-inch screen on the desk, but no, not so lucky. All right, so we are grading on this rubric for each stage. You are looking for how well did they satisfy the criteria for completing the assignment on that stage. And I was talking about tier list earlier. Maybe I should have made these S rank through F rank. But no, we're going to go with perfect, great, good, satisfactory, and unsatisfactory. So perfect, can't find any flaws in the prompt. Concerning the prompt, perfectly satisfied all stage objectives. This is pretty common, particularly for the first 2 or 3 stages of a project. They start out easy. Right? It's a progressive difficulty scale where it ramps up, right? And so you'll often have perfect stage 1 and stage 2. Oftentimes they'll be great. Perhaps you forgot to deleash your follower in your follower command. Well, that would probably be like a major flaw in a part of it, so it'd probably be a good implementation of stage 2. All right, great has a minor flaw with 1 or 2 objectives. Good is a major flaw and some minor flaws. Satisfactory is a couple of major flaws. They're heading towards a solution but didn't quite get there. Unsatisfactory is partial work, didn't really go. And so you would want to put an X in the markdown in the area that you, in the rubric slot that you grade the stage as, that you review the stage as. And that looks like this on the markdown. Right. Stage 1, perfect, good, satisfactory. Stage 2, perfect. Here are the assessment areas. This is not the key. This is an actual review. So peer review, exercise 1. Okay, here is the actual review file. And there's next and good. I think it's pretty straightforward markdown. Yes. One more time, please.
Our grading is perfect, but it's not going to affect the people that we are reviewing.
Let me be very explicit about this. You are not grading. You are providing a review. We grade the repository and then we grade your review. Your review has no bearing on the grade of the person you're reviewing. So you are graded on on 70% of how well you completed your solution with your repository. And then you are graded on the quality of how well you reviewed someone else's repository for the other 30%. Okay? Just to be clear, I've had a couple questions on this. While your peer reviews may be handy for grading, we do expect inaccuracies, so we have to grade. It would be great if you self-graded. Like, that would be an awesome world, right? But, that's not the world we live in. And there's very little auto-grading we can do with this. I'm sure we could run a linter somewhere. But that's far from getting a complete round picture that we want from code reviews. All right. So is this clear? Any questions up to this point on the assessments? All right. And what's great is all of you have just done the exercise, so you're very familiar with the criteria, right? You handled it yourself. So this helps reinforce. Okay, let's go to this. Okay, so that's the first step. So these peer reviews, these templates are there to give you a structure to peer review. A lot of times there is no structure to peer reviews, and you're just giving some feedback on pull requests on a large repository, right? Well, many of you have not done peer reviews before, right? So we don't want to, we're giving you some scaffolding to help you think about and structure your peer reviews well. So that's what these are. Now, the other part. So what's important are your justifications for why you gave the grades that you did. If it's perfect, it's hard to justify, right? Like they satisfied all criteria. It's really you get grist for feedback. Take care. You get grist for feedback when there's something to get feedback on, when there are errors, when there are things that don't match style guides, when there are inaccuracies, right? So it can be a little difficult if you get like an amazing, perfect project to give feedback on the first section. Now, there are lots of things you can do with a perfect project and people that go above and beyond. And we'll take a look at that momentarily. Just not in this first stage-based justification area. All right, so we have two other sections, code style and best practices. And each one of those sections have subsections. Where is my preview? Fine. I'm not sure where my preview went for this, but we'll make a new one. There we go. All right, so our code style section. So what we're looking for is seeing how well the student's code matched the code style, right? We've went over the style guides. We've went over how to write good Godot code. So this is you practicing that. You're reflecting those style guides. You're applying what you know about the style guides to someone else's code. And what I want you to do is give, that's what I did. Evidently, if you double click in the preview, it sends you into the MD. I was wondering how I got there. I haven't used this Markdown editor much. It was just very handy for today's lecture. You're looking for infractions of style guides or where there are breaches within style, where the style guide was not followed. And we're looking for exemplars. Where do they follow it really well? So we want to give constructive criticism. We also want to give feedback on the above and beyond things, the good things past the A that they did, right? So that's where this comes in. Style guide infractions. Obviously, hey, you forgot to use screaming snake case in your constants, right? We want to make sure that we note those and correct those. Now, for exemplars, perhaps they did a really good job of static typing all their variables. Point that out. Perhaps they made 0 flaws in the style guide. Point that out, right? All these are very cool things to add. Perhaps they did something clever with some data structures. Perhaps they improved over the very first order command list execution chunk code snippet that I gave you. Note that. Maybe they used signals where they didn't have to, or where it would have been better to use signals than the base implementation has. Excellent. So the more things you can point out on this document, the better. But we don't need a bunch of repeats, right? We don't need, if they just didn't understand that you should put underscores in front of private variables and private functions, you don't need to point out every one of those. You can note it once, give one example, and say, hey, this appeared systemically through most of the code files, right? We'll take that as a multiple. But in general, the more types of infractions that you find, the better it is, right? You want to be comprehensive. The more that you put on here, the better your grade will be, so we know you looked at it better. And the better it is for the person reading the peer review, right? Because you're peer reviewing real humans, and you will get peer reviewed by a real human. So you will get real human feedback. All right, and so we're doing the same thing with best practices as well. And your sense of best practices in Godot is developing. So best practices, you can apply to things like node structures. Did they use good composition of nodes and scripts to perform tasks? Did they extend, for instance, that you add a new animation to the player? Did they extend the state machine tree? Or did they do something ad hoc and move outside that practice? So they made a mixed state machine and non-state machine blend of control of a character, right? That would be a bad practice, right? usually picking a paradigm is good. Mixing paradigms within one file is bad, right? Within one implementation is bad. So please look for those sorts of things. Are there a bunch of variables that they just didn't use? Like sometimes I'm guilty of this. I'll make some variables I think I'll need at the top of the file and forget that they're there, right? That's bad. You don't want those hanging around. Are there perhaps functions that are only used within the class that they're defined in, but are declared private? Right? Did they think it would be public and public never happened? Right? That's something you can give feedback on best practices. Question?
I have a question about just kind of generally what goes in best practices in code style versus the first 4 sections. For the first 4 sections, we are just playing the game and seeing if it plays well and the objectives are met, like not really delving into the code for that section.
Yeah, you're not looking into the best practices or the code style of how they implemented the stages. You're looking to see, did they meet the stage criteria? Their code could be a hot mess, right? But if the follower follows, they did well, right? So it's function versus form. We care about both. Good question.
And one other question,
Yeah.
kind of on top of that.
Mhm.
If they did something like above and beyond, but it doesn't work well, would that kind of be something to note in best practices, not in the stages?
Yeah, we don't really have a good bucket for that. I would go ahead and put those in best practices. Yeah. Hey, you did this thing, but it didn't quite work right. That can be maybe a bit of a catch-all.
Right.
Things. One of the problems is we're using a template, right? So there are certain things that are in the template. There are certain forms there that are easy to use. When you're doing the code reviews, it's typically more of an amorphous thing, right? That you want to be complete on, but you get to make the sections when you do your own code reviews for other purposes. So feel free to add information at the bottom. As long as you have the template done, we'll take additional stuff at the bottom. Just whatever markdown you want to put in, whatever sort of makes sense given what you found. And if you add your own sections and do some thorough, do some analysis, that's A material right there, buddies. All right. Okay. Now there are a few things to note. So you can take these out of your templates. Like this descriptive text is there to help you, but once you start working with your own file, you can jettison this. But what we have here are ways you can link into particular lines of code in particular repositories in GitHub, so your template can point directly to the code that you want to reference. Right? And so you can do that. First, you can go in here. In the gutter, you can find the code file you want on GitHub Classroom. Hover over the gutter. There'll be a sideways hamburger that you can click on, 3 dots. You can copy permalink. And that permalink you'll see here looks like this. All right. There's the general format. You'll have the URL to a particular script, and then it will have a %L and then a number, right? So what GitHub does is it makes HTML headers and identifiers for every line. It gives every line a unique ID that isn't header format, so you can reference it in URL, right? So if you want to copy this, you could just change L5 to L7 and point to line 7 instead of line 5, right? There's a lot of code generation that happens in GitHub Classroom. There's a lot of neat stuff under the hood like this. And for those of you that have not used markup before, it's much like wiki markup. So you can use square brackets. This will be the text that's shown, and then when it's followed by parentheses and the URL, this will be the URL that the text is linked to. How many have used Markdown before? Okay, all right. That's a good number of Markdown. I'm hoping for computer scientists this will be very easy for you to manipulate and use, particularly with a bunch of examples in this directory. Okay, so any questions about the form and the template and what we're sort of asking for? We'll get some examples in a minute, but does this baseline level information make sense to you? Or if it doesn't, I don't know, wink at me or something, so I can tell without you identifying yourselves to everyone. Although if you're as savvy as me, like your wink will be like, Okay, then I think we're good. Excellent, excellent. Let's look at some examples. All right. Do we want to start with good reviews or bad reviews? Bad reviews.
Out of the way.
Get them out of the way. All right, well, let's do okay example. Oh, we have a B minus here. Let's go for the B minus. Yeah.
Is it a B minus for the review or for the project?
This is a B minus quality review.
Okay.
The information the reviewer gave was not comprehensive or good in some way. They didn't do a good job of reviewing. These are graded as you will be graded for your reviews that you do on someone else's repository. All right, redacted. Okay, let's open this up and okay. So they left in the description information. You can tell this is an older one. We had the code review date. So you'll see some different language. This is actually for a the Unity version for the pirate example. So you'll see some piratey language in here. So stage 1, pirate moves left, right and left with the same animation and facing correct direction, which is exactly the task. The code for left and right movement are almost identical besides direction, which looks good. Okay, so stage 1 previously was incredibly trivial. It was one sign flip and one line of code after you copied a template. Stage 2 was good. The working pirates spawn correctly for the 3 intervals of work, slow, fast, and medium. So the task here was there were 3 different stages with 3 different pirates in them, and those pirates had to do a work command where they would work for an amount of time and then produce something valuable, make some resource that the captain could then come and steal. Cutlass harvested gems, peg leg harvested mushrooms, and what did I call the zombie one? It was a skull face or something, I don't know. Scurvy beard, I don't know, something like that. Harvested skulls from a graveyard. Right, and so those were the commands. And there were 3 types of them: slow, normal, and fast, where they would work at a certain pace and become tired more quickly if they were fast working. So that was sort of like the idea. So the pirates would keep working until their last item was spawned instead of going straight to their exhausted state. This could be easily fixed. So there's a little state machine inside of these. So they didn't quite meet the criteria of the assignment. So it's fine. So far, we're doing okay. Stage 3, the captain motivates correctly. The captain motivates the workers when they get exhausted by whacking them with their sword until morale improves. Feel free to play with this project. It's still up if you want. If you go into exercise 1, you can go to the Unity branch, download it, and run it in Unity if you'd like. If you want another look at this stuff, some more examples. So great. It worked. Stage 4, we asked for a custom command. And someone did jump. So we left fire 2 open to whatever command they wanted to make for the pirate. Jump was what a lot of people just did. It was just a simple jump, which was fine. Technically solved the criteria, the assignment, albeit not very exciting and not a very exciting way. There were definitely like sea shanties and items shops, cash shops, stuff like that you could spend your hard-earned mushroom, gem, and skull-based resources on. The cannon blasts were pretty funny too. But in this case, they did a jump and it was fine. All right, so code style infractions. So they found 1 infraction and did 0 exemplars. Certainly, there's more to it than that. And with best practices, the code was neat and organized and followed the .NET guidelines. And there were 2 examples. And that was very clear. So you can tell they didn't spend a lot of time with the code, right? if you spend some time with the code, you're going to notice more stuff than this. So this is why this is a B minus, right? I mean, people that don't do it at all get Fs, right? But that's usually pretty rare because you can do something like this and get a B minus. Yeah.
Do the graders like you and the TAs look at these reviews after grading the project that these reviews review?
Yeah, usually. Yeah. Sometimes they want to do it the other way. Sometimes their reviews can be valuable hints on what's going on in the code that you need to verify. It really, whatever's faster for the TAs to do, whatever their flow is. They get this project that has a review, and they have to grade both. I let them do it as they want. Right, so it's scant. There's not much analysis here. They didn't spend much time with it. It kind of felt like a last-minute turn-in where they were looking just to fill in some blanks. And they didn't have any infractions of best practices. No code is perfect. You usually can find something. So this is what a B minus looks like. Questions? Does it make sense why this is a B minus? Is it correctly graded? What would you give it? An A? Out of what scale? it's S. That's way below an F, right? It's a triple S. It's, I don't know, what's a good triple S character that we could name? Just for fun. Who's got godlike skills? Sephiroth. Yes, with the last minute. Right? The Final Fantasy VII class was definitely worth taking last year if any of you did. All right. Okay, so this is what's going on. I don't want to beleaguer this too much. We have about 45 minutes left, and we got some other things to do. Maybe we should look at one on the high end so you can calibrate both sides, and then we can pick in between. Which one should we go for? We want to go all the way to high A or check out one of the B pluses? You want to do A? All right. A. Okay. I had a moment there where I thought I forgot to turn on screen cap. But luckily, if you're following along with this, you can easily just follow along with the voice and do your own. All right. Okay, so they left in all the stuff here. So this is actually reviewing a good repository, right? They moved left and right. Even with the best reviews, some of these, there's not much to say about the stages. If they did them perfectly, they did them perfectly, right? And that means this was a pretty good one. All stage 4 stuff was perfect, but they did a pretty darn good analysis of the custom part, right? Student implemented jump command. I'm impressed with it, as I also implemented a jump command. They figured out better ways to solve some of the problems I came across, such as checking if the captain is grounded by checking if they collided with the ground. This is something that Godot actually does way better than Unity. They provide is on floor, and Unity does not, right? So that was actually a little, jumping is much harder to pull off in 2D spaces. The implementation for it is much more extensive in Unity and C# than it is in Godot and GDScript. In particular, if you don't do proper ground detection, you can get double jumps pretty darn easy, unintentionally. And they actually added some game feel. So they changed the add force parameter, they changed the physics. Just this kind of velocity in our system, add force in Unity. They spent some time tuning it. So it actually felt like a really good jump for the captain. So great. That was one of the big bonuses in this, right? They did actually a pretty good little analysis here. And then they went into code style guides. So they found some infractions. They couldn't find any. But they went through and thought why, and then got kind of nitpicky, right? There were some lines that went over 100 characters. Oops, oh no. Get back here. There we are. They found lines that went over 100 characters, right? That's technically in the style guide. right? So they actually were familiar enough with the style guide to find even the small, more looked over things and pointed them out. And then they went through and found out where they correctly handled all of like variables and fields, right? So they followed all the style guides from what they can tell, but you can tell they spent some time with it and were more comprehensive. And with best practices, they actually had they actually looked at some and found some in a project that had perfect implementation, a really good style. They found stuff to talk about. So if the student followed best practices, oh, sorry, that's my prompt. Okay, here we are. Best practice infractions. No violations in the style guide were found, but they do have some feedback on issues that they noticed. Like there's a variable that shouldn't have been a float, should have been an int. The exhausted variable is never changed, right? So that means they had a potential bug in the work command. It'd be more clear what these values are if they were constant. So what things should be constants and what things should be member variables. The Captain New Fire command is not an ideal name for the jump command class, so they just had a bad class name. It technically worked, and the style of it was good, but it was just named weird. Right? And then overall, more comments could be helpful, right? Comment your code a little more. I've given you code with fewer comments than I would like to, mostly due to a time constraint. When I get this out next year, I'm going to do a more comprehensive comment pass. So you're my guinea pigs. So, I mean, these are the type of things we're looking at here, right? This person pointed out like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 best practice infractions. And then found some exemplars. Hey, look, someone used they used getter and setter for public fields. This is generally better practice, right? All classes and methods are not too long, right? So they kept the functions succinct and more side effect free. They made a very large number of commits while working on the project. This is good practice, right? So these are all things you may want to pattern after and look for when you're doing your own reviews. If you all did A quality reviews, I would be very happy. I will not bell curve them. Like if you all do A work, you won't all get C's, right? Some people are mean. We're not going to be mean to you. I think it's a success if everyone in the class gets an A. Particularly since you've self-selected an upper division class like this, but that's rhetoric for another day. All right, so that's what an A looks like. Notice the use of links into the projects. Right? Gives context for the comments and questions. Great practice. Okay, we've done 2. How do y'all feel about this? You feeling pretty good about peer reviews at this point? A little more concrete? Any questions? Yes.
What happens if we make criticism that isn't correct, but there was good intention behind it?
We know you're not perfect peer reviewers. Generally, we give credit for effort. You looking and going out in a branch and like perhaps going a little farther than what you know about best practices, that's evidence that you're moving and growing and moving beyond what you're doing. So we generally see that as a positive. It may not be, as many points as a correct one, but it's usually points. Bonus points, like, we're building up a case for an A here. Yes?
Is there like a typical time expectation that you expect to spend?
It's not long. Like generally you can get a good review done in less than an hour and then write it up in another 15 minutes or so. Take notes, right? Sometimes depends on how fluent you are with Markdown and how good you are at clicking. How much OSU have you played, right? Can you speed run the Markdown? So I would expect anywhere between an hour and 2. This is not meant to break the bank. Yes.
I have a question about the style guide.
Yeah.
So do you want us to delete all the the debug printing comment we commented out? Do you want to leave that or?
If they have debug prints, it's not your responsibility to handle those. You can point them out. If it doesn't work, you're not responsible for fixing it. You just need to describe sort of like where you see it not working. Which is generally just looking at the code and be like, hey, this is the wrong algorithm, this is in the wrong place, it's not called in the right way. It's just simply not a complete implementation. We're not asking you to correct in this case. In this case, you're doing a review and not like a mentoring.
I'm talking about review. I'm talking about like when our coding, like, do we need to like when we submit a file, like submit a project, do we need to like delete all the printing message?
Oh, when you turn yours in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's good practice not to have a bunch of debug prints, because if you put a bunch of prints in production code, that hits the I/O bus, right? And then that slows down your frame rate pretty substantially if you do a lot of print, right? So you should take out prints.
So do you want to like comment them out or just delete them?
You can comment them out. Generally, how this would really work is you would have a logging system, and you would have different layers of logging, and perhaps even string pragmas around them. So you would actually excise all of the code lines for logging when you release for production. We're not going that far yet. Just commenting them out will be fine. Questions? Yes.
I have a question about submitting. Is it just whatever's in the repository by the due date? That's just what's submitted?
Yep.
So I don't have to do like anything.
Yep. You committing and pushing upstream is you fixing problems, right? And even if you want to submit stuff past the due date, feel free. We may take a cut at the, so in GitHub Classroom, what we'll do is it has facilities to go through all the repositories that students have submitted for the assignment and pull a cut of them when we run a script. It gives us a big zip file of the current contents of all of each one of the repositories. And that's what we'll grade. But if you've done like some major revisions and you had an epiphany and you figured something out, let us know, and we'll probably try to grade the new one. We'd rather grade your best work than your not best work. But as far as the protocol, super simple. We're pulling whatever's on master, on origin. All right, 4 minutes until I wanted to start playing Inscryption. Any general questions? Maybe an exercise 1 question? You want to start thinking if you want to play Inscryption or not. Yes.
For stage 2, one of the bullet points is that when the player is within 5 units of the follower, it should start following.
Yeah.
Is that like a hard limit, or can we use like how it looks? Because like
Make an export variable, and you can tweak it. Set the default to 5. That'll be fine. Yeah. And I should have been more explicit. I actually used a one-dimensional distance here. I just used x distance instead of x plus y, which made it a little more forgiving. So I'm going to be forgiving on the grading. Yes?
Are you going to get additional help on this assignment? I'm just asking how this works.
We had a bunch of office hours. I don't have time to do more office hours tonight. Maybe if the TAs are amenable, there can be office hours. Did Nick show up? Nick, is Papio here? Oh, there you go, both on this side. My blind spots. My whole left eye, because I'm a pirate. I don't know. If there's office hours and either of you want to give tonight to help people out, feel free and post them. If not, my schedule's completely packed tonight, which is why we had additional office hours yesterday. I will be paying attention to Discord and answering questions, though. It's getting to the last minute. It's hard for us to pool resources at the last minute to help. So I'm sorry I can't give you a definitive answer right now. How many of you feel like you need more help? Okay, so like a quarter. More time? I mean, if we extended it, it would be overlapping with the time you're going to spend on exercise 2. Because I'm not pushing back the time you spend on the final project, because that's the fun part of the class. Okay. How many people? Yeah, go ahead. I did. And they're recorded. They're put in the Google Drive.
Will you have office
I mean, that's my set office hours. The TAs have office hours as well. And when assignments are due, I'll probably make a habit of having Monday night office hours. I can't promise more than that. I can't promise paying attention to Discord. Yes.
For grading, do you know the specifics for like submitting for late submissions by like a day or two?
Why do you have to ask me hard questions? Okay, so a day or two submissions, like I generally want your best work and I want to grade your best work. I am not a big stickler on deadlines. I'll leave that to other faculty who want to be very sticklers on minute-based deadlines or give like some exponential decay in the amount of points that you get based off the millisecond that you submit your assignment past the due date in Unix time. That's not me. That's not my style. That's not generally how I've seen indie game dev teams work. So you can turn it in late. The problem is if you turn it late, we're going to do extra scrutiny for cheating, right? Because answers will be out. This is a computer science class at Norwin University. I'm sure solutions are already available on whatever platform. Take care. Have a great day. Right. So I think have to do a little more scrutiny. So you will be judged a little more rigorously on with regards to your peers and their code solutions being identical to yours. What you can do to make that a little better is make sure you've done a bunch of commits. So if we see your commit log, we see your development history, that's evidence that you developed it, sort of yourself. Although I have had people take an assignment that's done, piecemeal it together, make a bunch of commits, and then turn that in, and you can forge anything. So there's a little bit of good faith. We're going to extend you and all this, but we also have to do some basic detection for academic fraud. Turning it in late is fine. The real problem is you won't get your code peer reviewed, and it makes it more problematic to peer review. So we're going to have to also judge your peer review. If it's late enough, and you're the second peer reviewer on a project, we're going to have to have extra scrutiny on your peer review as well. And all this extra scrutiny takes time. So it really depends on like the quantity of late assignments we receive. If it starts becoming burdensome, then we're going to have to assign penalties because we're going to have to disincentivize. I don't want to. If it's a day or two late, it should be fine. Typically what we've done is a first round of peer reviews, and then people turn stuff in late, and we'll do a second round the next day or two. All right, sorry that was amorphous. I don't like penalizing late work, is the TLDR. But you now have heard my justification. All right. Any other questions while I get Inscryption loaded up here and do a sound check? Let's make sure it's not, okay, we're at a third volume.
Yes. Once the follower makes contact with the player, are they supposed to follow them? Do we keep the movement speed the same? The follower continuously follows the player?
You can set the follower movement speed whatever you want. I have it set to about 100 velocity less than the player, so that the player can go faster than it break the leash. It needs to be a little thing. It's a little slow. You need to protect it, right? It's a little guy. But obviously, so the reason I didn't put too much of a detail on that is because I'm giving you some more narrative control and design control over it in the end. So do with it what you will. As long as the basic mechanisms work, and we can do the leash breaking by teleporting. Okay, let me make sure we are on the correct sound output channel, because we are not at the moment. Output to HDMI DisplayPort 3. Let's see if we're actually recording. Okay. Yes, we can. That is a great call. And then the more people have in the queue, the faster we'll rotate. Hello. Keyboard and mouse. Luckily, everything's all lit up so you can see. This is the screen you're playing on. How many of you have played Inscryption before? Okay, so we have a few good spoilers. Let people enjoy it.
Okay. Trying to figure out what's on this thing.
So we are doing like the story.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 people. So I'm gonna like maybe like a 3.5, 4 minute playtime. You know what to do right away.
Yeah.
You're gonna start speed running?
No, I mean I could, but no.
You don't got the route memorized?
I think I do.
This is
honestly.
the maximum audience enjoyment category.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. Don't worry. I pressed the click new button for a reason. Literature. It has been ages. Perhaps you have forgotten how this game is played. Ooh. Oh wait, actually, okay.
If you want to.
Oh
if
god.
You want, if you want to narrate.
Allow me to remind you. Whoa. Play the squirrel card. Now play your stoat. Stoats cost 1 blood. Sacrifices must be made. An honorable death. Play the stoat. Wolves require 2 sacrifices. You don't have enough. Ring the bell to end your turn and commence combat. Your stoat stands unopposed. On the number at the bottom left is his attack power, 1. Pop. Your stoat dealt me 1 damage. I added it to the scale. You win if you tip my side all the way down. Like this. My turn. Your stoat stands in the way of my coyote. My coyote dealt 2 damage to your stoat. That means your stoat's health is 2 less. If a creature's health reaches 0, it dies. It's your turn again. You may draw your deck, or you may draw a squirrel. How dull. Sorry that it's optimal. Wait, edit it. The wolf demands 2 sacrifices. Huh? Hey, wait! Fear not. The beast is sacrificed, but not removed from your deck. Its suffering was real, but you will see it again. Bop. Because you're learning, I will pass. Again, the choice. A random card from your deck, or the certainty of a squirrel. Three damage dealt, 3 weights on the scale. Pass. Squirrel. You've won this match. They won't all be so easy. Let me recall your story. Oh yes. You were lost deep in the forest. A single path revealed itself. Can I leave? Nope. Okay. Yeah, 2 denizens in the forest approach you tentatively. The caustic adder, damage from its poison bite, is always lethal. The undying cat, sacrificing the poor beast does not kill it. Only one may grace your paltry deck. I'll take the cat. Another creature joins your caravan. Some of the creatures of the forest seemed willing to follow you. You came across an abandoned sack. You found a squirrel in a bottle, break in case of emergency. Could have a second. Another useful implement. I'll allow you to tip the scales with it. 3 as much as you can carry.
Maybe about time to switch now.
Yep, here you go.
All right.
You can
Good work. That was well.
You want me to narrate?
Yeah,
let's take the narration up. You were
bandaged.
a bandage? Oh, okay.
You sacrificed me while I was sleeping. It was the right play. I get it. Maybe you'll help me.
Take your turn.
Play along for now.
You may now see my moves ahead of time. What? Something about the wolf cub and the egg rose. The river snapper demands 2 sacrifices. Yeah, you can. What's it called? You can use it as blood, but it doesn't remove it.
Oh, it's a.
Yeah, it just gives you like it acts as like a
No,
sacrifice.
they know the UI is just weird. Okay. I didn't realize I already sacrificed.
Gotcha. Airborne bat flies over its creatures to attack directly. Attack. Ah, my bat flew right over your river snapper. Ooh. Sacrifice the squirrel.
Scroll wall.
Optimal. You prevailed and trekked onwards past the now bloody terrain. The meek sparrow, an inexpensive, if feeble, flying creature. The young wolf cub, it grows into a wolf after a single turn. You stumbled into some strange stones in the mist. You were compelled to choose a worthy sacrifice, one that will be lost forever.
Not the kitty.
You looked upon your menagerie and selected a healthy host. Pick me! A ghastly spectacle, but the soul of the cat now lives in the river snapper.
Time to swap.
Yippee! Do you want to narrate?
No, you can.
Oh my god, okay, I guess I'm here now.
Pass the narration.
Oh, do you? Go for it, yeah.
You all can pass over your
Oh, behold my totem. It inscribes my canine
You can just watch
card.
up here.
Oh, true.
It's lazier.
It's the worst angle.
You see that, right? No one cares for pathetic, really. Enough. Only to watch me suffer.
Yeah, sorry. What's the? I'll do a squirrel.
And then
How do you go back?
S back.
Thank you. And this. Do I just go over here to draw?
You have to do a turn first, so the bell.
Oh, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. My totem granted me, my coyote, the power of flight.
It's kind of rude.
Reminder, you have items.
Oh yeah, I forgot
Yeah, you
about
got it, you got
those.
This is a good scroll ball moment.
Scroll in a bottle moment right here.
There you go.
Is it not?
Yeah, you don't have to do it. You can just hold the card.
It's
And
also
then
it's
it
your-
just
it's your
pass?
playthrough.
Yeah.
I'll just pass.
You're 4 damage away from winning. aggressive, you may yet survive this ordeal.
Alright, time to swap.
My turn.
Oh my god, this screen is small.
Yeah.
Welcome to my pain.
The flighty.
Flighty elk. It moves after attacking.
Ooh. Alright, let's see this one.
The monstrous grizzly. Its form speaks enough of its efficacy. The proud wolf. A vicious contender.
I don't know, guys. You know, we don't have anything that can fly yet. You know.
Decisions. Left or right, campfire or sacrifice stone?
Guys, I think I'm gonna take the safe route today. Wait, what's happening?
Across a small group of survivors. Faces shrunken from starvation.
Guys,
They
am I
huddle
cooked?
around a campfire. They looked upon your group of creatures and begged. Come, warm one of your creatures by the fire, one said.
Guys, am I cooked?
Literally. Warm it by the fire. That will enhance its power, said another. You noticed one of the survivors wiping drool.
Oh shoot. Alright, guys. Who's the missing link here?
I don't think they're just getting warm.
It still looks like the monster.
I agree too.
Put them in the soup. The fire warmed the poor stove, enhancing its power. One of the without a word. Oh, there we go.
Oh, okay. It worked.
Be silent, or I will tear you to shreds.
Okay, Alright, let's test you out. It's the new improved Stoke, guys.
Stove 2.0.
Toasty stones.
Toasty stove.
Damn, okay. Alright. Oh. Okay, well, that, didn't work. Alright, guys, let's see what we have.
You maybe
You are
you
lacking
just roll a model.
sacrifices.
That's a grizzly you're up against.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Alright, guys. Okay, guys, we need. It's time. Does this guy stand a chance, guys?
You might. He's the only one
He'll
who can help.
survive one hit.
Right.
Well,
That was a 3-minute timer.
Yeah, sure.
That's what I'm working with? Oh god! Oh my god, okay.
It ain't pretty.
Okay. 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 Oh god. I don't think this is gonna... Okay. No! Oh god! Okay. Oh!
Yeah. Let's see what those pliers do.
Ooh.
what the heck? Whoa. What the heck? Well, we're playing damage. I didn't think we really did.
It's just a tooth, you know. There we go. Is it still there? Uh-oh. What happened? Died in the game and then died in real life. It's like SAO.
Okay,
Yes, it's not responding.
You blacked
Clicking
out 'cause
doesn't-
your tooth got pulled out.
Did you escape?
Yeah.
I wonder if it just did crash.
Oh. Oh no.
It's supposed to be like a quick cutscene.
Oh.
But
It died.
It
Okay.
died.
Hey, let me try to
Okay.
recover. Sorry. you just got owned by grizzlies, and then died. Died. Steam Deck died.
Oh no.
Oh. Ooh, okay.
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 Yippee!
Get up from the table. Fetch me the candlestick from top the barrel inside the door.
Oh. The sound isn't in through the speakers anymore.
Yeah, let me see if I can fix the sound real quick.
Oh.
Yeah, let me
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Well, maybe. There we are. Okay.
Yay.
Okay, so let's go back to the sound. Let's put it on the... Why are there so many of these now?
Oh god. What? That's scary. They're multiplying.
Did it work? Let's see.
Yeah, I don't hear anything.
Must have been the sound driver that...
Maybe that's why the crash happened.
Okay, let's, we'll do it with the speaker. And then we're gonna put it onto analog mode here. Because we have a stereo jack. Did it actually work? Internal microphone, compressor, Yeti, speakers, that's the Yeti, headphone, there we are. Okay. Yeah, okay, we're not getting any sound. I guess we'll go without. That's a real shame, because this is, we'll get the candlestick from the barrel, and then we'll talk about.
Hi. Okay. This one? Ah. Oh, okay.
Maybe it's time to make sound effects instead.
Wait. Oh wait, the top of the barrel? I don't think I went to the right spot. To the right. Oh, right here. Okay. No, wait. That's not a barrel. No, wait. There we go.
Right here.
I'm a little blind. Sorry, guys. Oh.
I mean, there's so much visibility in this game.
Yeah. Sit back down. What if I didn't? Oh, okay. Can you read it?
Well, let me explain something to you.
Okay, there we go.
Good job, everyone. I'm going to very slowly turn on the pivot lights. And then very slowly turn on the back lights. Well, I meant to do it very slowly. It didn't give me many options. Okay. Let's, we're doing something.
Is the game still going?
Yeah, I just, okay. Stop recording.